Sorry, we're running a little late. My name is Travis Mott. I'm the chair of our commission. I want to thank you for your application and interest in serving the circuit. We have an application from you for both circuit and county court, I believe.
Yes, sir.
If you could, please introduce yourself. First time you've been in front of our commission. Tell us about your qualifications to hold judicial office.
Yes, sir. My name is Daugustinis. I have been a prosecutor for nearly 11 years. I began my career in the county court and worked my way up to the felony division, where I handled every type of case with the exception of first-degree murder or crimes against children. I then advanced to the Special Victims Unit, where I have served the last 8 consecutive years. During that time frame, I've handled many complex matters all the way through a jury trial, such as aggravated child abuse cases, capital sexual battery cases, as well as homicides. For the last 2.5 years of my career, I have served as the division chief of the Special Victims Unit in the Clay County office. I live here in St. Johns County. I am married. My husband is an attorney here in St. Johns County. We have 2 young children. Today's actually my son's 3rd birthday. And I have always wanted to be a judge. I belong in the courtroom. I'm most comfortable in a courtroom, and I believe that my extensive trial experience, my temperament, my work ethic, and my integrity, as well as my strong desire to serve my community and my state, will serve me well if I am lucky enough to be appointed to the bench, either on the circuit level or the county level here in St. John's.
Couple things. You've practiced primarily in Polk County and then in Clay County. Never been a prosecutor in this circuit. That could raise some concerns to some of my members of the defense bar. The prosecutor on the bench, could you touch on that for us?
Of course. I will say that I certainly wouldn't characterize myself as a Clay County lawyer, a Polk County lawyer, or a Duval County lawyer. I have represented the people of the state of Florida for over a decade. And my qualifications to hold judicial office and my ability to have that position don't change just because I haven't been a prosecutor here in the 7th Circuit. If you speak to any of the defense attorneys that I've tried cases with, I think they would tell you that I am fair, I'm impartial, and I'm transparent. While I haven't worked in the 7th Circuit, my intent was, when I was moving here, was to always work for the 7th Circuit State Attorney's Office. And I made those attempts multiple times. And unfortunately, the timing just didn't work out. When I was moving here and over the years, my husband and I were in the process of starting a family, and I was having to go to assess specialists in downtown Jacksonville. So it simply wasn't feasible for me to drive from my home right down the road here in St. Augustine to downtown Jacksonville to Daytona and be able to perform the job to the best of my abilities. The timing worked out in the 4th Circuit, and they've afforded me the opportunity to, in the Special Victims Unit, be in the a division chief. And, while I haven't worked in the 7th Circuit, I have very significant ties to St. Johns County and the 7th Circuit. Not only is this where I live, this is where my family lives. This is where I'm raising my kids. This is where my kids go to school. This is where they'll continue to go to school all through high school. I go to church here. My husband and brother-in-law are both practicing attorneys in the area. My father and his significant other live in Flagler County. And the Daugustinis family has been here for nearly 20 years, and they are involved in the community, as am I. We participate in various community events throughout the county, such as Wounded Warrior Project, charities, Tunnel to Tower events, Canine for Warriors, American Cancer Society fundraisers. So we are involved here. And I will say that because I haven't practiced in the 7th Circuit, I think could be a benefit. I've seen how other circuits operate. I've seen what works, what doesn't work, and I know how to best manage a caseload. And I can hit the ground running on day 1 if I'm appointed because I don't have conflicts. I can go into a criminal division with no conflicts. If I'm in a civil division, I can cover for other criminal judges as well.
Let me ask you a question. If you're appointed to county court, would you transport inmates from the county jail for court with misdemeanor in person?
Yes.
Can you tell me the names of the judges in St. Johns County?
Yes. There's Judge Farabee, Judge Maltz, who's the chief judge here, Judge Lee Smith, Judge Woolsey, Judge Christine, Judge Janesk. And I'm not sure if I said Judge Woolsey, but I'm sure I'm missing several, but those are the ones that come immediately to mind.
Question for you. If you live here and you knew you always wanted to be a judge, why not join our bar association? Why not join our in the courts?
So my problem has always been, since I've been in the Fourth Circuit and specifically in the Clay County office, most, to my knowledge, a lot of these organizations, such as the Bar Association, for instance, meet during the lunch hour. There's luncheons, and it would be impossible for me to be able to leave the Clay County Courthouse in time to make it to St. John's Bar Association luncheon or lunchtime meeting, and then go back to Clay County to finish out my day. The same struggle have ensued within, of course. I'm lucky if I leave the courthouse in Green Cove Springs at 5 o'clock, especially in my current role, where I'm often handling matters after hours for the Clay County Sheriff's Office or other police agencies. So it's difficult to make it here. I will say that if I am lucky enough to be appointed, I would absolutely be joining in of courts. I've already reached out about openings. I would join the local bar associations because it will be much more feasible for me to be actively involved if I am appointed.
Currently, the circuit seat we have is likely going to end up in family law and Volusia. If you could touch on that for us, how you get up to speed and how you would handle that commute.
Sure. So I will prepare, just like I have done for every single case for over 10 years. I haven't personally practiced in family law, but I'm very confident that I would be able to get up to speed. I would read the applicable statutes, rules of procedure. I would confer with fellow judges that have handled those caseloads and ask plenty of questions, do CLEs. I would be prepared when I go into the courtroom. I have been a law clerk for the law offices of Fred Tromberg, and I did not know anything about civil litigation when I began with Mr. Tromberg. And on day one, he threw me in the deep end to see if I can swim. And I not only swam, but I excelled. And I took the time to learn those areas of the law. And I was able to be very successful there. So I can learn the areas. I will also say that my experience in SVU gives me a unique perspective because I often see crossover from the criminal side to the family law side, whether it's dependency cases, child custody battles, divorce proceedings that play a role in my trial. So I do have that unique perspective. As far as the commute from my home in St. Augustine to the Green Cove Springs Courthouse, it's at least 45 minutes, sometimes 50 on a good day. It took me 2 hours to get home the other night because the Shands Bridge got closed. So an extra, I believe it would take about an hour and 15 minutes from my home to the Daytona Courthouse. And so it's really not that big of a difference to me at this point because I'm used to that. And at this stage in my life, I would welcome some quiet time and a long time in the car on the way to and from work every day. It would give me a good chance to just prepare myself for the day.
And you can stop at Buc-ee's every day.
Absolutely.
2 stops.
I get those cinnamon buns, a cup of coffee.
Do you have a judicial philosophy and what is it?
I do. My judicial philosophy is to follow the law as it's written based on the plain meaning of the words. Also to exercise judicial restraint and decide my cases based solely on the law, not personal preference, not emotions. I handle very difficult cases and I've been following the law and making all of my decisions based solely on the law without regard to the last 8 years.
Have you read the Florida Code of Judicial Conduct?
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Several.
when was last up?
This morning.
All right, so then you should know this answer then. As an applicant for judge, as you stand there right now, how many of those apply to you?
1, number 7 applies to me as I stand here today.
Does anyone have any other questions?
What were some of the types of things that you worked on with Fred Tromberg?
I worked on several personal injury cases with Paul, who was with Mr. Tromberg. I handled many foreclosure cases and doing a lot of research in the foreclosure area at the time. as well as several medical malpractice cases when I was working with Mr. Tromberg himself.
Saw you got the MAT award in 2016. Can you tell me what the penalties are for a first-time DUI?
Yes, it would be a maximum of 12 months of probation, a maximum of 6 months in the county jail. There's, I believe it's a $500 or up to a $1,000 fine, could be more if the blood alcohol level is higher. A 10-day vehicle impound, a 50 hours of community service, substance abuse class, and any recommended treatment. And I believe the court could order a 6-month ignition interlock if the blood alcohol level was 0.08 or higher.
I have a question. Where do you think your skill set better fits, or is it equal, that kind of expand on this between the circuit and the county?
Yes, sir. So I believe I do have the skill set to serve in either capacity and serve well in either capacity. Regarding the county court position, I spent about a year in the county court handling dozens of jury trials and non-jury trials. I have been in a supervisory role for 2.5 years, and even before that, I've been a mentor to younger attorneys for a very long time. So I believe if I were a county court judge, I would be a very good mentor to the younger attorneys practicing before me. On the other hand, I do have the skill set for circuit, and my skill set is very well suited for circuit court because I've now been practicing in circuit for over 10 years, handling very high level cases, very complex cases. I know what findings need to be on the record. I know how to protect the record. And I've handled those cases from their inception all the way through a jury trial and to sentence. So I do think that I am very well suited for circuit court. I'd be pleased to represent, to serve my community in either capacity, and I would be prepared to take over any docket in any of the county in 7th.
Your references, either state attorney that you work for, kind of raises a concern in my mind. Touch on that for us.
Well, I would say there's no need to be concerned. I gave considerable thought to each and every reference, and it was my assumption that you all, or at least one of you, would call my bosses. You would call, I assume so. You'd call Miss Nelson and call Mr. Haas, and I had no doubt that both of them would say great things about me, as would, I believe, anybody that I've worked with. I wish I could have listed each and every person I've worked with. I wish I could have listed 50 references, but we're confined to 10. So my belief was that it was more effective for me to list people that you all may not know to contact, people that I've worked directly with, people that I've litigated cases with and gone to trial against, that can speak to my temperament, my integrity, my trial skills, judges I've practiced in front of, as well as I put a judge on there that I actually assisted her in running for judicial office. So I have that perspective as well to know what it takes to win a campaign. And other individuals on the list that could speak to my leadership abilities and my ability to run a courtroom.
Anybody have any questions? Closing argument, anything you want to touch on that we didn't discuss, you think is important, you want to highlight?
As you've all read in my application, I have dedicated my career to public service. Public service is who I am. The importance of service has been instilled in me from a very young age, and it has been an absolute honor to represent the people of the state of Florida for over a decade. I feel now is the time for me to take that next step and to serve my state and my community as a judge, whether that's on the circuit bench or the civil bench. And I possess the qualities of a great judge, the humility, the promptness, the preparedness, the professionalism. And I very much want to continue serving and want to continue being in the courtroom. And I have faithfully upheld the Constitution of the state of Florida and the United States for my entire career, and I'll continue to do so if I'm lucky enough to be appointed. And I thank you all for your time and consideration today. Thank you.